Construction of the Forbidden City started in 1406, and the construction of the Forbidden City finished in 1420. So the
Quite quick.
yeah, 14 years. Yes.
Yeah, Chinese speed.
Yeah, because the construction of the Forbidden City involved in 1 million people and also 200,000 artisans. So 1.2 million people got involved into the construction of the Forbidden City. That's why they can do it. They can finish up the whole product within the 14 years. And those two resided in Nanjing, the former capital of the Ming Dynasty. They all lived in here. And the age of the Forbidden City from 1420 till now is 605 years. That's the age of the Forbidden City. 500 years used as the living residence for the emperors. And 100 years used as the palace museum. Forbidden City for those people, palace museum for us. This year is 100th anniversary of the foundation of the Palace Museum. Okay, so the Ming Dynasty, which lasted for 276 years until this emperor, the last emperor in the Ming Dynasty, Emperor Chongzhen, he came across some big troubles during his ruling period. And those bad people, the enemies, were attacking the city of Beijing and then forced him to commit suicide at the age of only 34. And those people that took over the Forbidden City for 28 days. Those we call them the peasant uprising army. And then later on, those Manchurian people, they come from northeastern part of the country. They come to Beijing and defeated those peasant uprising army, drove them out of the Forbidden City. And then they occupied the Forbidden City. Later on, they took over the whole country and started a new dynasty, which is called the Qing Dynasty. The Qing Dynasty lasted for 267 years, for 10 generations, until the last emperor Puyi, who proclaimed to be the emperor at the age of only 3, but retired at the age of only 6 because the dynasty collapsed. He still lived in the Forbidden City until 1924. Then he was kicked out of the Forbidden City, and he was made as a puppet emperor under Japanese control and sent back to China after the founding of the PRC and died in 1967. I'm going to show you a video clip about the last emperor when we get to see the most important palace in the Forbidden City. Okay, that's a brief introduction about this Forbidden City. Any questions?
The last one, this one, he committed suicide.
Yes.
Is that opposite the Forbidden City in the mountain?
Yes, Jingshan Hill. Yeah, at the age of only 34. In this area, let's get started from right-hand side over here. So you can smell the strong aroma.
The wood.
Released from those wooden furniture. Most of them, most of those furniture have the same age as your apartment.
My apartment.
Yeah. 17th century.
17th century.
Those originated from the 17th century. Those started with the 2 camping chairs used for the emperors. When the emperor went out for hunting or went to the wilderness, those people would be carrying those camping chairs for the emperor. They are the folding chairs. You can fold them into one piece and decorated with the dragon head armrest.
Is it like the French king, when they travel, they bring all the furniture?
Not all the furniture.
Have you been to, if you go to Chambord, there is no furniture. Because when the king was coming, he was coming with all the furniture.
Okay.
They're only carrying those daily necessities for the emperor, like the chairs, the food, water, medicine, that's it. That's a combination of the emperor's throne and the decoration screen made of the Huanghuali wood. That is type of the rosewood. Rosewood is the rosewood and the purple sandalwood. They are the most famous material for making the furniture back in the days. Okay, so made of
this is made of the rose tree.
Rosewood. It is called Huanghuali in Chinese, but which stays in the same category as the rosewood. Very famous wood, the beautiful green and hard texture, and the chair and the screen are decorated with the ivory-made clouds, towers, the bridge, and the rivers.
And this is from the 17th century?
Yeah, from the 17th century. This area, the features Qing dynasty furniture. Qing from 1644 to 1911. So that is around in the 17th century. They're going to open another section which features in the Ming furniture, maybe this year or next year. Those furniture are much older than those, 200 years prior. And the mountains and the trees are made of the chicken wing wood. So this is the name of this huge wardrobe. It's armoire. Armoire is a French word, is that right?
Exactly.
Armoire, 4 meters tall and 4 meters in width, which is used for holding the emperor's clothes and robes, and which is also decorated with a 3-dimensional dragon and cloud design, making it an absolute masterpiece of the purple sandalwood furniture. So purple sandalwood furniture, that's kind of redwood. So when I pay a visit to your house, you can give me a lot of similar stories about your house. Is that right?
No, not that much.
So is that the house you inherited? You received it from your father, grandfather, from your ancestors?
No,
is that right?
I bought it back.
Ah, you bought it. You bought it.
But it's back
Back.
Yeah.
Bought it
because
back.
in the 15th century it was from my family.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Yeah, good for you. Yeah, a lot of historical stuff
Yes.
take place in that house. Okay, this was the place where the last emperor ascended the throne in 1908 at the age of only 3 years old. Like I mentioned, and this boy who proclaimed to be the emperor at the age of only 3 years old, and he retired. He abdicated at the age of only 6 years old. Yeah, because the dynasty collapsed. And that famous movie, which is directed by this Italian director in 1980s, which won 9 Oscar awards in 1988. So, which is filmed right here in this palace. Little emperor, his father is kneeling next to the emperor. Do you know why? His father was not the emperor, but he was the emperor. So this is how it looked like inside the palace.
Uncle was emperor.
That's right, his uncle. We cannot walk into the palace for protecting those, golden brick floor. Father is kneeling down. This little boy who couldn't sit still, who is kind of naughty. His father said, "It will soon be over," and to try to calm this little boy down. But this official who got so shocked by what his father said, because he thought that his father suggested the Qing dynasty will soon be over. And only 3 years later, what his father suggested really come true. The dynasty, his father's words jinxed the dynasty. And only 3 years later, the dynasty, which lasted for 267 years, collapsed. And this little emperor who is walking out of the palace, nobody allowed walking in the middle. Even now, which still remain closed to the public. Yeah, but the emperor he's walking in the middle and give audiences to those officials and ministers. They are kneeling down on this square. You see that? Yes. So we're standing somewhere in this area. Yeah. Okay. There's a sedan chair prepared for the emperor. He will be carrying around even inside of the Forbidden City. Those servants will be following the emperor, carrying the toilet, the food, water, everything, for those daily necessities for the emperor. Okay, so which took place right here in this area. One of the few movies ever received the permission from the authorities to shoot a film in the Forbidden City. Okay.